What's up, everybody? Welcome into the 365 Sports Newsletter, Houston edition. I'm your host, Garrett Ross. Make sure you go over to 365sports.video where you can sign up for the newsletter, and we will have it in your inbox every Wednesday around 11 to noon. Just depends on what time zone you're in, as this thing is spread out across multiple ones right now. But Coogs in particular, man, you're coming off a bye week where you got to sit back, you got to heal up. You kind of really got to evaluate your current matchups coming down the stretch, whether it was watching TCU this week, who just got destroyed up in Provo 44-13, or you also kept an eye on Baylor as they got just drilled by Utah as well. So, but those are the two teams you're facing down the stretch here. Coming up this Saturday, you do have the Frogs heading into H-Town. It's going to be senior day. And there's really not too much to be afraid of when you look at this team. I mean, TCU's been really incomplete all year long, really inconsistent. Josh Hoover has struggled down the stretch. He's got one touchdown to 3 interceptions. He had 2 interceptions last week, and he was just really under duress. And what BYU does defensively, to me, is very similar to what Houston does. I think they're almost like a carbon copy. I really think Houston's built as a team in general very similar to what BYU is. And coming into this matchup, I don't think Houston should really have a problem. It's really eliminating Eric McAllister. I think Houston's secondary has proven that they can step up and take that away. The rushing attack for TCU really isn't there, so that's nothing you should really be afraid of. So I think if you're Houston, you're feeling really comfortable about this matchup. Last year, you were able to take care of the Frogs as well, really kind of throttle them in that situation. Your third straight time that you're meeting up with them, but there are a lot of commonalities between these two programs. The staffs know each other very well, and that was something that Willie Fritz touched on earlier this week, was just the commonality of and the camaraderie between all of these people on the staff, whether it was Kendall Browse, the OC at TCU, graduated from Houston, whether it was his relationship going back to Spike Dykes, Sonny Dykes' father, just a lot of turnover and crossover when you come with these two programs, which is what you're going to see in Texas in general. But this is one where Willie Fritz has a lot of respect for what TCU is doing. He knows that they can't take the Frogs for granted, right? And especially when you're sitting back last week and you're in there this week and you find yourself back ranked, right? Remember last time when Houston found themselves in the polls? I mean, you had West Virginia come into town and just curb stomp you. And you were immediately out. Like, you can't have that right now. If you're Houston, you need to be able to capitalize on this opportunity and make the most of it. And that's something that's really important, because it's not just going to carry weight for your football program. It's going to carry weight for your athletic program as a whole. And that's something that can carry over into basketball, who's constantly having success, and into other sports as well. But just being able to really take advantage of that and stay in the polls is something that Houston can do this week. And I think they will. I don't really see a situation where Houston gets beat and falls out of the polls the next 2 weeks in general. I don't think there's any fear if you're looking at TCU or Baylor down the stretch. But in general, right now, you're going bowling. And I don't think that's anything that anybody – I mean, I think coming into the season, you probably wanted to go to a bowl game, but being able to get into a higher bowl game was probably something you weren't really expecting. But you took care of business, and you still have an opportunity here to have 10 wins on the season. So if we're looking at bowl projections – there are a few different ones out there right now. My main one that I always go to is Brett McMurphy. I think Brett McMurphy does a really good job, and his consistency over time with what he's been able to do pretty much aligns. But he's over at On3 right now. He has Houston facing USC in the Alamo Bowl, which would be pretty awesome. I think that would be a really good matchup. I think if you look at USC, they're very similar to a lot of the teams that Houston's faced already in the Big 12. So that could be a really cool matchup there in the Alamo Dome. Another matchup that is being projected right now for Houston from Kyle Benarga over at ESPN is the Pop-Tarts Bowl and facing Miami. I mean, the Pop-Tarts Bowl to me is one of the funnest bowls we have right now. I think it arguably is the funnest bowl we have right now, and it really captures the true essence of what bowls used to be. So that's one where I think a lot of people really enjoy. That would be an awesome matchup to see the Coogs go up against the U. I think that would be awesome. But you're looking at two really blue blood premier programs that you have the opportunity of facing in a bowl game. And if you're able to get a win over them, you can carry that into recruiting. You already have Kayshawn Henderson coming in, who picked up his 5th star this past week. So you have a 5-star quarterback coming in that you can build off of, and you just have the opportunity to put away one of these blue bloods. I mean, things are lining up really well for Houston down the stretch. You just got to take care of business. You can't take things for granted, but I think being healthy at the right time, I think having the right mindset and just having everything aligned for you right now is going to pay dividends for Houston. And one of the funny things down the stretch here, if you're Willie Fritz, as you continue to lay your foundation and say, hey, we're a staple here in the state of Texas and we're going to be a staple in the Big 12, is not many people are feeling Sonny Dykes up there in Fort Worth right now. So you have an opportunity to kind of send him out the door. And then when you come up with David Randa, he's gone. Like, I mean, there's really, the writing is on the wall there with everything going on at Baylor right now. So Willie Fritz could send 2 coaches of his rival programs out the door packing down the stretch as well. So that would bode dividends, and recruits are going to watch that because you're recruiting against Baylor and you're recruiting against TCU. So if you're able to kind of say, hey, we're the new dude on the South, then I think that kind of it could be some big wins for you in the recruiting aspect down the stretch. As far as basketball goes, another great win for Kelvin Sampson and the Coogs, number 2 in the nation. Number 1 just depends on which poll you're looking at, but controversy, yeah, there was some controversy down the stretch, but they go in to the 2K25 matchup, Battleground 2K25 matchup with Auburn in Birmingham. But they were able to escape with the win. I know there's controversy at the end on was it a call? Was it a foul? Was it a no call if you're Auburn? It doesn't matter. You're going to have those down the stretch anyway. We got to see a really good matchup of a future, what could be a March Madness type game. I mean, we got to see that early on in this. If you're Cougs, you got to feel really good about the youth that you have on this basketball team right now. Chris Sinek Jr., your forward, continues to be really solid. He did foul out in this game down the stretch, but he had 18 points on the game. Kingston Flemings, this cat is cold. He had 22 points on the night, led the way, but most of that was in the first half. You've got to get consistency, but you are a freshman, and you will continue to get better. Emmanuel Sharp did his thing, 13 points. Milos Uzan had 11 as well. But Houston as a whole, it was the defense. It goes back to defense with Kelvin Sampson. It was defense down the stretch. They held a really good Auburn shooting team to their worst shooting percentage of the season, and they were able to just kind of put the clamps on them at the end when it mattered most. Flemings was rewarded. He was named your Big 12 Newcomer of the Week. He was also named the Big 12 Player of the Week, and he's currently leading Houston with 17.3 points and 5.3 assists a game. You have something special in that young man. That's going to do it for this week's episode of the Big 12 newsletter. Make sure you go over to 365sports.video. Like I said, sign up for that. We'll have it in your inbox every Wednesday, 11 to noon, just depending on which time zone you are in. We'll be back next week with more content. Until then, I'm Garrett Ross.